Hey everyone, thanks for listening to the Western Hunting Hub podcast. This episode, I am chatting with a friend Draya, and we got some news on kind of the direction we're traveling down, but also just wanted to touch base as a team here together again and talk about what's coming up, some opportunities she has, as well as tags and draws, 3D season, Alpha Bow Hunting Challenge, and a little screw up CPW had. So, Draya, how are things going? How's your summer?
Things are going good. Things are going good. A lot on the plate, kind of one of those times in life where some changes have happened and just rolling with the punches, trying to trust the process. Got a lot going on with Ridge Patrol. It's a women's camo clothing line, which we just launched a week ago. And so that's kind of the direction that I'm moving towards right now, is really focusing on building up that brand.
Okay, we'll come back
a lot more into.
Yeah, let's come back to that. That's a good one. I want to save some good conversation for. But you've been doing a lot of fly fishing, I see.
I have. It's been a lot of fun. A lot of fun, very humbling. Last night I was getting to the point of learning. Now I'm on to like drakes, figuring out how to really get that picturesque look, keeping that drake dry and getting it lined up to land on the water. So haven't caught a lot of fish in the past few times getting out. I think it's just kind of that time of year. Water's been pretty dirty with all the rain we've been getting here, but pretty cool. I'd never realized how zen fly fishing is, and it is really addicting. So I'm excited to start doing that, start floating some more rivers and fishing some different rivers, and hopefully accessing some national forests as well by doing that.
Yeah, I bet besides the water temperature being a little higher than normal than it should be, what's safe for the trout in Colorado, now is kind of the time where fishing's good, and a lot of times catch some good sized fish, right?
Yeah, the fish that I have caught actually have, for the majority, been some really good sized fish. I was telling Cam yesterday I got lucky learning how to fly fish on the Elk River up in Steamboat, because that is a private river where the fish don't get fished very often, so they're not pressured. And so first like week of fly fishing, I was catching beautiful big fish, like one after the other, and then you get out to like the Colorado and the Roaring Fork River where it's just pressured that much more and the fish are that much smarter. But yeah, I've caught some good sized ones, some little ones. Netted my first fish the other day. That felt nice to be able to do it all on my own. I went out all by myself and got it done. So I slightly know what I'm doing, but it's always fun to learn something new. And it's a plus that it's in the outdoors and it's right on the water. So.
Yeah. One of my biggest aha moments in fly fishing was just last year. I've had a lot of scenarios where hook and fish and they throw the hook. Hook and fish throwing the hook. It's the most frustrating thing. It's like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how you keep these fish in the line. I'm keeping the line tight. Like, the line's tight. I don't know what else to do. And my buddy Ivan Perrin, I did an episode with him a long time ago. He gave me a tip. We went out and floated. And he said, that rod is 9.5 foot long for a reason. It is a shock absorber for all of those flips and kicks that this fish is doing. So making sure that rod tip is up in the air so that it can do the absorption and you don't have to keep up with that fish as it jumps out of the water. And then as soon as I did that, I don't think I lost a fish. Like, they all stayed on. Yeah. So that was a huge tip. And then on top of that, I had I don't know, maybe I was just getting warmed up that day. I don't remember what I was even going to say. Right. But yeah, that was such a really, really good tip for me. And I guess I haven't even fly fished much since then. There's a lot of fly fishing in the Black Hills here, but it's so different. It's not big river stuff. There's not big creeks. It's a lot smaller and still water stuff. So I've been really enjoying getting back into warm water fishing and catching bluegills and crappie and sunfish with my kid. That's kind of my main fishing goals right now.
Yeah, so you guys caught some on Father's Day.
Yeah. And I'm gonna think or try to get out. We need to get out this weekend for sure. There's a beautiful lake just 10 minutes from my house that has it's got salmon in there too, so I got to mess around with that someday.
Oh.
But there's all kinds of trout, but little teeny green sunfish and bluegills, and really trying to focus on just catching fish with him. So that'd be fun.
Yeah. Good thing to do with him. Good way to spend time.
Yeah, so let's talk Colorado a little bit. I don't know if anyone got when you sign up for newsletters and emails. I don't want to draw too terrible much attention to this, which I guess I'm doing by talking about it. But this is a giant screw up. CPW sent out an email of a paraglider who had a fatal accident, and they sent the picture of the paraglider all tied up in his stuff.
No way.
No, I'm dead serious. And it's a picture of him. And there's even a caption. So, I mean, I know we've done a lot of episodes with CPW and their regional communicational guys. We've been doing it with Randy in the Northwest. Well, this is the Southeast guy that did this. He posted that. It's like, I've got a buddy that did that sort of stuff, the hunter education and all those fatal videos, the horrible, horrible ones where there's hunting accidents and there's pictures of it because they have to take pictures. Those files are locked. Like you don't have access to those. Like that every day Joe Blow with Colorado Parks and Wildlife or game department doesn't have access to those fatal images for a good reason. And somehow they attached it to a newsletter and had a caption to it. So I just thought that was poor. Why don't you edit it? And then they sent out a following email saying, kill this picture, send it, drop it. It's already out. So, too late now. But one thing our agency does here in South Dakota is they send the newsletters to all the employees saying, hey, this is going out in the next, I don't remember, 4, 8, 12, 24 hours, saying, hey, this is going out, just so you can make sure there's no stupid mess ups like this one. I don't know what this guy was thinking. I'm sure there's more to it. Maybe he just dropped a file in and it doesn't show the image, but even the captions just says guys tangled up and whatever else. So that was messed up, and I'm sure there's a lawsuit coming for sure. But
I'm sure
anyone looking for no, and I just think of the family, how upset the family would be.
Absolutely.
That's just so disrespectful for that family. So if anyone knows of them, that's a sad deal. So, but wish they hadn't done that to that family. So, but anyway,
I like to think that was a mess up on some sort. You would think CPW would be a little bit more professional and about that situation. So
yeah, they're going to be covering their tracks, and I'm sure there's going to be a job opening in the Southeast Communications area.
Open, guys.
Yeah, there should be in it.
Yeah,
but
that's not cool, not right to be doing that.
So we don't want to harp on agencies because that's the one thing I'm kind of going against my what I've set here as standards for the podcast, supporting the agencies. I do support the agencies. I work for a different agency, and we really focus on making sure every step of everything we're doing is good. Like just covering our tracks, and it's just that's one area that in our digital age of we can really screw things up really quick. You especially looking at filming your hunts, and me, both of us posting pictures of whatever we're doing out. We're not just because we believe in our morals and our ethics and making sure we're making good lawful decisions, but even those accidents, like I'm really making sure, because I don't want to put the wrong thing out there and people see that and like, oh, this guy's a horrible person. Yeah. Because there are those people in the industry that have had that.
Yeah, I think it's not even just people in the industry, but anyone who is out there hunting and has a camera in their hand and is taking a photo. The stuff they capture out there is a representation of hunters today.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that.
Thing to be so mindful about is anytime you have a camera, like I said, whether you are putting it online or you're not, you are representing hunters as a whole. And I think people kind of forget about that.
I'm really glad you said
there's
that.
definitely a line.
Yep. Absolutely. That's definitely something that you see people that shoot a squirrel with a bow and arrow, and you're holding the bloody squirrel there, with, or it's like a close up of the arrow in the squirrel's head. I've seen that. It's like, come on, did that do anybody any good?
Exactly.
Much better to hold like your picture, your grouse and your arrow. It's like, that's a really cool picture. There's no real blood in it. It's like, it's just a grouse and you holding your arrow, and it's nice and clean. I mean, you can do the same sort of thing, show off your to your friends and family of, hey, I got this squirrel, and that's really neat. But does it have to be a close up of the broadhead, like sticking through the skull, or something that's just ammo for the opposite? And as we see our rights and privileges just stripped away on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, of looking at New Mexico and how they just lost trapping on all public land across the state, millions of acres just gone. That's such a huge loss, and
that's a big one
for sportsmen. So it's trapping today, which a lot of especially new hunters really don't care too much about. It's trapping today. It's bow hunting tomorrow. It's predator hunting the next day. So, or predator hunting first, actually, and so on. So, yeah, you and I are pretty cautious about what we put online or even take pictures of. So I think anybody that's not even on Facebook but just sends pictures out should follow that similar thought process of watch what you take pictures of. I know we see it, and nature is you look at Nature is Metal, their Instagram, that's not human included. It's all that raw, nasty nature stuff that is just happening. And that's one thing that's totally different. But if you add in the human element to that, oh, you're gonna get us all in trouble. You're gonna get things taken away. And it's not that we don't want to explain or have that, take that rawness out of it. It's just that it's taken out of context and people don't understand. Where you are a part of that killing of the animal, there's a lot more to it than that one snapshot of the bloody whatever. I mean, there's so much more into that you've experienced and been a part of that can't be included in that picture, if that makes any sense. So
yeah, there's already such a big disconnect between hunters and non-hunters. And obviously, if you have a photo like that, like with the squirrel and the arrow and the head, we need to bridge that gap. We need to be the gray people, add that gray to there and show everyone we're not bloodthirsty killers. This is what we do. We, as a society, and I feel like it's really starting to take a turn towards the more positive now with all the platforms out there, all the social media, but granted, we're human. There's always, unfortunately, going to be those people that will be posting that. But if we can all do our part to bridge that gap between that stigma of hunters and non-hunters, and one of those ways is by, you shoot an animal. I personally, like when I was guiding and, my client would get an elk or a deer, is we wipe the blood off the wound, we lay it there nicely, and because we care for that animal and we want to have it in a photo where it looks like preserved almost, not, blood everywhere, guts everywhere, wounds and whatnot. So we can go on and on, I'm sure, about that. But it's our part to bridge that gap, fill in that gray area and show people, that we actually respect and love these animals more than they do.
And for those there is that argument of people saying, oh, I don't really care what other people think. But that's kind of the older school, like people from the 60s, 70s, where the hunting community was not as attacked. So those adjustments need to be made, where you probably should care a little bit about, if you care about hunting, you should care just a little bit about what those people are seeing and thinking. And if we can have control of that, then there's one step to preserving this, because I don't think there's a hunter out there that would disagree. We want this around for our kids and our grandkids. So because you don't care what other people think, if that's hurting that, then maybe that's one thing you can do to stop that, to progress a little further and allow this to be around for those kids.
Exactly.
So anyway, this wasn't even on our agenda, but
I love podcasting.
Yeah. So we've gotten some draw results out. Just got an email today about one I was successful about, and got a little bit more plans than last time we talked, because we know what those draw results are for the most part. So any development in your fall?
Yeah, I'm going to have a busy fall. I'm going to do an over-the-counter antelope tag, which will go on sale that first week in August. And then I have a unit for deer that includes a couple other units as well. So I've got a deer tag. I'm going to do an over-the-counter black bear tag, and then I have a elk tag as well. So I've got 4 archery tags, which I'm super stoked about. A month and a half of living out of the wall pen and hunting. So super excited. My big focus this year is I really want to find a nice muley. I know where the elk are. This area that I've hunted elk in the last 6 years, pretty much have them dialed in as to where they are with how the season goes and how hunters come in and when the rep picks in, where the water holes are. So feel pretty confident on the elk area, but I'm really excited to get some trail cameras out and start getting some scouting in and trying to find a nice muley, watch it grow throughout the summer, and hopefully they'll be in the same area come hunting season. And that's kind of my big focus is that muley. Obviously the antelope tag is new too. I've never hunted antelope either, so that will be a lot of fun. I've heard horror stories of trying to pursue those things if you don't have water or like a decoy. I am gonna get one of those predator decoys, and so that hopefully will make it a little bit easier.
Yeah, as long as you hit them in that time when they're wanting to chase things off. I couldn't believe it. As soon as you got within, it all depends, like what that animal's feeling, the buck's feeling. But I think I was only within 450 yards, and I had put that decoy up multiple times. And I think what worked the last time is to kind of put it up and then put it down. So he kind of lost track instead of him just knowing he's always right there. And one of the times I put it up, then he came barreling in. And it was all suddenly a change of plan on his part of, I'm going to chase him off. So that was perfect. perfect. So hopefully you get to experience that when they want to come run you off, because that is so cool. A lot of those, though, do end up being just kind of like elk, as you're calling them directly to you if you're solo hunting. A lot of those are frontal shots. So hopefully you can... Yeah, hopefully they turn or give you something, or it's close enough for a frontal shot, because that's not a bad way to go.
Yeah, it's also not a huge target. So
yeah, they're small.
Frontal shot, 60 yards, I'm definitely not taking, but 40 and under, I feel pretty confident. Been shooting a lot. Got Total Archer Challenge and Alpha coming up, so went out the other day and shot 50 to 70 and was hitting 3-inch circle. Felt pretty good about it. So
awesome. Yeah, it's 3D season. We're hosting a 3D shoot at work. So if anybody's in Rapid City area, July 10th, we'll be doing a 3D shoot there. It's a free shoot, and going to have some giveaways as well, but not as big as Alpha Bow Hunting. Alpha Bow Hunting Challenge is a pretty sweet deal, and this is your first year coming. I'm
excited.
Yeah, I think I'm on year 4 or 5, somewhere in there, of going to this thing, and I really haven't missed a finals. I've missed some of their qualifiers here and there, but it's a pretty sweet deal. Kind of a fun, I'd say relaxing environment, but then you're kind of exhausted at times because you got to go for a quick run, and it ends up being 95 degrees sometimes, so it's a little warm in Thornton, Colorado. So, but a really cool, unique way to get some practice in a stressful environment. The one thing I will say that does not help for hunting is it almost does train you to punch the trigger. So some of these elevated, you got the pressure on you, makes you want to punch that trigger. So that's the only negative about stuff like this. I've heard John Dudley talk about that before, how guys will want to, at the evening shoots or league shoots, you want to do like a moving target or like something that's like you got to shoot instantaneously and you can't get your whole shot process up. He talks about that being like don't do that because it's you're gonna start to punch. And this one for sure, man, I've seen guys that are brand new at it, they go and like swing and a miss sometimes, swing and like punch that thing. It's like, oh gosh, that was a massive punch that I just saw 20 yards away. So but if you're practiced up and it's okay, now it's time to get put into a stressful situation, and you can keep that in mind and work on all of those things to continue to have your shot process. I think it does help, and if you're prepared and you know about that. So to continue, and that's all I thought about every year I do this. Actually, the last 2 years, because I had to flip the switch in there and thinking, okay, shot process, keeping it going. I'm not going to take a bad shot here. Don't care what that other guy's doing. And because you're going head to head, and I'm going to make a good shot. Every single one's going to be a good shot. So keep that. There's my one piece of advice: shot process, and don't even worry about the speed you're running, where the other guy's at. Especially for the first round, you're going to maybe start thinking strategy. You get a mulligan. If you use that mulligan, there's some strategy in that. There's a lot of little gameplay that you can take into consideration. So as we're sitting around underneath the tent, I'll tell you what I've kind of observed over the course of seeing these and being able to compete in the finals too. It kind of a stressful environment, and there is some gameplay in place. So
competitive. It's a competitive outlet, and people clearly get super competitive about it. And it's probably going to come out in me just because I am a competitive person. But when I've been training here, what I've been doing is, I would do like a sprint. And when I get back, first thing I think is, all right, plant your feet, 2 big breaths as like I'm grabbing my bow and putting my arrow on, really focus on those breaths and just really focusing on my step-by-step placement, pulling back, setting my anchor, that bubble level, wait for that, for the sight to just fizzle out there and steady for a second, pull through the shot. So I've been trying to practice that with the training that I have been doing. And I think that will hopefully carry me through. I'm not going to win, but if I do, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. Just stay calm. I've watched some of my really, a really competitive friend who, she's just so competitive and intense that as she went in there, it just was like, you got to calm down. Just calm down. You're building this up way too much. And, if you kind of have that feeling of, I just don't care sometimes, that kind of works for me. Just as a calm down. I'm going to do my best, Whatever happens after that happens. So
keeps you out of your head.
Yeah. Yeah. This is one where you can get in your head real easy for sure.
It's cool. Last night I was at Glenwood Springs Outdoors, and there was a guy down in the basement. He was like, "Were you at Train to Hunt?" I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I totally recognize you." He's like, "Me too. You were there. I was up at Powderhorn a few years ago." And he's like, "Yeah." So we started chatting, and we kind of chatted for a little bit, but I thought that was great. Still bumping into people from some of these different competitions that I've been in.
Yeah, I don't think Train to Hunt's like, I don't think they're going this year, and heard something about them kind of falling apart. I don't know. It's just kind of a bummer.
Yeah, I think that happened last year with COVID. I think that kind of hit them hard, and I haven't heard or seen anything from them. So I'm assuming they're They're not running anymore.
He pushed everybody too hard. Even my
Man, that was tough.
yeah, even my buddy Jason is talking about how it's like this is, and he's an physical animal, and just the insanity that kind of goes with some of those what he wanted them to all do in the finals was pretty insane. And it got almost to that adventure racer kind of level. Not quite that, because that's like 200 some miles of just running, but it was getting to some of that level of pushing your body so much that it kicked out a lot of the me's. I don't know about you, but it would kick out a lot of these average folks that was like, I'm not gonna push myself for 4 hours I'm not interested. Exactly. That's the level of
I wouldn't have trained the way I trained that spring and summer leading up to it. I would have not performed as well as I did. But I mean, I was raft guiding full time, so 8 hours a day of pushing and carrying boats, and was usually getting like a small workout or some yoga in the morning, and then in the evenings I would, at least 3 days a week, I would go do like a weighted hike. So everything was dialed and completely different for going into Alpha. I'm just like, well, I feel pretty strong. I feel good shooting. I'm just going to go play it out. But I remember looking at some of those people that trained to hunt, and they, hiking up that hill, like there were people that it took them a good couple hours to get up that hill with, I believe the ladies had 50 pounds in our back and the guys had 100 pounds in the back. But
yeah. I was going to say, with your fall plans, I am muting out the unit, and I'm going to mute that out again. But your unit, right, marking that down. Yep. So all of you listening to this, you're just hearing blank spots around what unit, just in case Draya comes upon a bunch of 200 inchers. Yeah. And just finds out that whatever unit she talked about is just a sleeper. Then you're never going to know, because you're going to want to post pictures of what you see. So we're going to leave that out. Okay. So we've kind of added something, made a kind of a change. Our original plan in partnering up here was, okay, you got kind of a different audience. You and I are just, we've got a connection of hunting, but we are different people and different crowds. And I'm almost kind of labeling it as I'm a little old school and you're a little new school, if that's fair to say. But we thought, man, you could bring your audience, I could bring my audience, and then we're sweet. We got one big audience. But maybe that didn't work. I don't know. And also you had some things in life that kind of hit you as like, this is what I want to do. Here's my avenue. And I think we found an opportunity to allow that to expand and to be something that can be really impactful for people. I don't want to say you did. So you've got a idea, and it is already rolling. As soon as we get this, as soon as the platforms kind of accept the new podcast that you have of What's Your Wild, then it'll be out there. It's already out there on Podbean, but all the other platforms are kind of, it's a slow process. It takes a little bit. They got to approve. They got to do all this sort of thing. So tell us what we got going on.
Absolutely. So as Clint said, him and I are not necessarily recording on the same platform of Western Hunting Hub. I have created my own platform called What's Your Wild, where I want to dabble a little bit more into the mental health aspects of nature. I have suffered some trauma when I was young and have been running around the woods ever since I was old enough to be outside. Nature has always been my connection. Moving to Colorado, becoming a hunting guide, and really dabbling in, I shouldn't say dabbling, but really setting that lifestyle of hunting more than just a couple weekends out of the year, kind of got the ball rolling, my head spinning as to like, what's my purpose here? what are the things that I want to be doing with the rest of my life. I definitely don't want to be working a Monday through Friday job. So my idea behind What's Your Wild is it's going to be connected with Bridge Patrol, which I talked about earlier. It's a women's camo clothing line, which we had just launched last week. We are a week into our pre-sale. We have one more week of our pre-sale of 20% off of your entire order. It's clothing made by women for women. It's great gear. I have been testing it out, bear hunting and turkey hunting and scouting and shed hunting, and I feel pretty competent in my judgment on the gear just because most of my time is spent out there. And so Ridge Patrol and What's Your Wild will be connected. It will be a podcast where, like I said, I'm going to be focusing a little bit more on mental health and how nature ultimately is the best healer. So whether you have suffered something in your life or you have found a personal spiritual connection with nature, I'm just really excited to kind of broaden my listeners a little bit more. Yes, I will still be talking about hunting quite a bit, but I also want to kind of dabble a little bit more, like I said, into the mental aspects of that. And I think it's something that doesn't get talked about enough. And I think with society these days, just as technology is going, more people are spending more time inside in front of their TVs, on PlayStation, on their phones, with their friends at the bar, whatever. And I just want to be that platform that gives people a little bit of hope if they have suffered something PTSD-wise and they need like a safe space. I want my podcast to kind of be that safe space. And I'll still be interviewing people regarding hunting, but I want to tell more hunting stories. And like I said, this will be connected with Ridge Patrol, that clothing line, which we are launching.
So give, I know you've mentioned a lot of different names over the course of the last 6 months. Company's the original. Give us a quick breakdown of the organization and all the little pieces you're involved in.
Yep.
Just to clear that up so we know kind of where you're at and what you have your hands in.
Absolutely, yeah. So started doing the podcast with you, kind of opened up my mind a little bit more as to like, I really like talking with people on this platform and was really excited when you welcomed me on. So that started rolling, and I feel like that just kind of set the pace for me to be open to other opportunities. And my good friend, Bevan, she's also my business partner. She is the owner and the creator of Ridge Patrol. She met me through Rocky Mountain Sportswomen, the nonprofit and steamboat that I was an ambassador for. She was looking for ladies to test out her clothing, the Ridge Patrol clothing. Women of all sizes. I'm 5'1" and fairly muscular. So I was like, oh, perfect. I'll go test out her gear. So went on over to her house and tried on the gear, and just we connected and started working with her through like some helping with social media. And anytime she got a prototype in, I was her go-to person simply because I'm obsessed with being outside and that's just my lifestyle. So it was easy for me to just grab it and go out and do my thing and bring it back to her and kind of give her my take on that. Leading up to this, she essentially asked me to come on as her business partner. And so it was just a lot of just working together, putting my time in, trusting the process of like, all right, let's see where this goes. I wasn't making any money or anything, but I wanted to help in a way that I could, especially with the women representation in the hunting industry and the lack of apparel. And that's a whole nother rabbit hole. So she asked me to come on as her business partner, and I put some good thought and process into it. I have always been what I would call a gypsy soul. I've, moved around a lot. I haven't lived in a place for more than a year. I like opportunities, and I take them and I go with them, and spent a lot of time sitting on it and, having like the big girl talk of, if you do this, this is the real deal. Like, you can't just bail after 6 months because another opportunity comes up. And it just felt right. It felt good. And so signed over the paperwork, and officially a part owner of Ridge Patrol, and there's a lot of work starting up a company. We were talking about it the other day. I don't have any business experience. Luckily, Bevan does, but I am completely learning something new, and it's fun and scary and exciting, and didn't realize how much of my time that would take up, and started realizing that I can't necessarily do all these things and do them well. I'm a perfectionist. I like to give 110% in everything that I do. So now I'm in Glenwood Springs and just basically living as simple as I can, not really working that much because all of my time right now is being dedicated towards Ridge Patrol, making sure we're doing everything right, getting all the steps in place. And I'm really, really excited for this gear to come out. Like I said, we've got that one more week of pre-sale, and then everything will just be regular price then. We're pretty excited about just our journey ahead of us and all the great ideas that we have coming for you ladies. But kind of the rundown of the steps of everything that's kind of happened, and here we are. And now with this platform with Ridge Patrol, it's a completely different audience than what the Western Hunting Hub podcast is. Obviously, it's a women's clothing line, and so my focus now is trying to help educate and motivate and inspire and be that sounding board for other women out there who may be struggling with their confidence getting out into the wild and hunting and etc. But yeah, so the rundown of what I've got going on.
Yeah, so we got Ridge Patrol. We have What's Your Wild, which is a new podcast, but also your blog, and then your photography wrapped up in that as well. And then
so What's Your Wild is it's basically my personal life that's connected to Ridge Patrol. So the podcast is on there. My blog, the blog is mostly focused on hunting and mental health. So it all kind of connects together.
Yep. And then still a little connection to Rocky Mountain Sportswomen, I'm assuming.
Yep, absolutely. I'm just not living in Steamboat anymore, so won't be making it to most of their events, but I am still an ambassador for them. And we do have a women's mule deer clinic coming up August 14th in Rifle at the Ute Theater. Really excited for this. Rocky Mountain Sportswoman and Muley Fanatic are the sponsors of this. It is an entire day of speakers coming in, going from zero to hero, essentially, on pursuing mule deer, a lot about conservation and public land and information on that. We're going to have local vendors there that will have anything from knives to apparel to information, just people there that the ladies that are attending the clinic can talk to. There'll be a full catered lunch. We're going to have live music in the evening. I'm not exactly sure where it's at, but it's going to be in town at Rifle. You'll get a drink coupon. We're going to have a live band there. So that way, after a day full of information, these women will be able to gather and just hang out on more of a personal level and try and build up that community a little bit more in the western part of Colorado. So if that's something that interests you, ladies, you can head on over to theutetheater.com. It is August 14th. If you just go to their search button and search Mule Deer Clinic, it'll pop right up. It's $100 for the day, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Really excited to see all you guys there. Ridge Patrol will have a booth there. Onyx Maps is donating 3 elite memberships for a year, and the first 25 people to sign up will automatically be entered into winning one of those elite memberships. So it's going to be a great day. I'm excited for that.
Well, I think this is exciting and a great way to organize all of these things. I know the conversations you and I were having of like, I got this. I don't know how they fit together. I think that's all coming to fruition here. So
it's all coming to fruition. Still some more steps I've got to take to kind of finalize some things. But just like I said, through this whole time, just really trying to trust the process. And when you put things out there and really focus on things you are passionate about, they will come around. It just does take some time.
Yeah. So I'm thinking alpha still a little bit now, and I really like to do a lot of my interviews over the phone. I haven't done a lot of in-person ones just because I am semi that awkward individual that struggles with that, whereas you probably excel with those in person. So force me. We should do an episode during alpha talking gameplay there, and let's do one on site. I think that would be a kind of a fun thing to do there, and I'm sure Phil at No Limits Archery would really appreciate a little episode on his event. But a couple of things: make sure you pack a cooler loaded with water and drinks and whatever, so you got good cold stuff there. I will make sure I bring a tent, because having a nice shaded tent, I gotta make sure I nab a spot nice and early. I always go and do that Friday night, make sure I get a spot. And then I'm bringing my recurve. I'm going to actually do a shoot with my recurve and my compound, so I'm doubling up this year. A little nervous about that. The goal with the recurve is to hit foam.
As long as you hit foam, you'll be good.
Yeah, I know if you miss, it's a better score, or less time deduction, because then you're not wounding. Yeah. But arrows are expensive, so I almost just rather hit foam and let my time be kind of big. So yeah, there's and then also you got to have place to put your bow, because everybody's got bows and you can't set them in chairs, can't do that. So what we always like to do, take little short bungees and hang them from the canopy, and then you got to place your bow. So there's a little even if this shoot is not something any of you guys do, there's a little 3D shoot tip. If there's a place to set up a tent, bring a little bungee and you can hook your bow, and it's out of the way, not going to get stepped on. And but yeah, you're probably going to need I don't like to bring a big pack. I like a smaller day pack. The big pack is just a little bulky. Yeah. I like to have something a little smaller that I can move in, because you only need 15 pounds. I need 25 pounds. So it's 20 pounds, 25. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to bring my normal hunting pack. It's just a little bit too big and a little bit too much extra material.
Yeah.
So I've got to find something a little bit smaller. I've got a perfect sandbag or a perfect dry bag that I can make a 15-pound sandbag out of. But I'll have to have you send me over a list, a little pro tip list.
Yeah. I got new quivers on my bows, and I didn't go with the tight spot because it was a little heavy for me, but went with the Hoyt's quiver. So new quiver. I'm dialed in with my compound out to 100 and plus whatever. So feeling good there. Now the only thing I got to do is get myself to go for a run, so I'm not hurting on day 2. It's like I can always force myself to do stuff, but I got back issues that I just can't get over, and I can't fix it just overnight. So that's going to be my nemesis in this thing is I'll be feeling like a 55-year-old man here pretty soon. But whatever.
Do your yoga every day. It'll help.
I know I've been doing not yoga, but I've been doing some inversion table stuff, which helps. But yes, yoga or Pilates really would help.
CBD is also a lovely thing for, I just take a low enough dose and it just keeps my joints happier and my muscles happier, keeps everything just a little bit more lucid instead of stiffening up.
I know nothing about that. Yep. Nothing about it. So, all right, we've got a game plan, and all of you should be soon. You can at least listen to Draya. She's got episode 1 up in this. She's got a couple more here ready to go. Just got to be edited and published. But search What's Your Wild on your platform. And if it's not there, it will be over the course of the next few weeks. But Podbean is where you can find that for sure. And Apple Podcasts, hopefully within the next 24 to 48 hours, should be up. But all the other platforms that this podcast is on should be getting rolling in that process. So thanks, Draya, and appreciate you helping me out over the last 6 months on things. You're not going away. You're not departed.
No.
We're more sister channels now. So
Yeah.
that's how we're viewing that, and we'll keep supporting each other and going on our hunt this fall.
I guess a question maybe that just came to mind. Maybe some of the listeners are wondering, are they able to search the Western Hunting Hub podcast? And my page isn't connected to that, correct? They have to search What's Your Wild.
Yeah. You'll have to. We're under the same account on Podbean, but you have your own name and own searchable channel. So that'll be
Awesome.
there to view and see. Is it is a complete different podcast.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. I appreciate everything, Clint. Clint's done a great job helping me get set up on the podcast world. He's got it dialed in. Last year during COVID was when he truly nerded out and got it all figured out. So definitely appreciate you helping me get my platform up and running. And I'm excited to move on as sister partners and do some episodes together. Elsa will definitely record one when I come there in November to deer hunt. So that'd be cool. We can get another episode out together then.
Yeah, we'd actually be in my office here and do the, like, what the office is meant for. That would be sweet.
Exactly.
And I just got I had it all put together and it was beautiful and organized and all that. Now it's trashed because I had a water leak in my gear room. So I've pulled everything out of there. I've got arrows and broadheads and show notes and my other side business pieces all over, paper, junk. I think I got a title on my desk here for a vehicle. I got crap everywhere. And it's a sad thing. There's you couldn't even sit in here. There's no room. But I'll have that cleaned up by
your water leak will be fixed and
yeah, that'll be fixed and we'll be ready to chase some mule deer and Hills whitetail and whatever we're kind of feeling that day.
Exactly. Maybe some upland.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Well, I didn't even think about that. You caught me off guard. We'll take
the pup out together.
Yeah. There's sharp-tailed grouse all over, so we can maybe hit some of that. That'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
But, alrighty. Well, sounds good. Have a good rest of your 4th of July.
Be safe out there, guys. Thanks, Clint.
See ya.
This is God's country.